This episode is going to be on my creative process. Yes, my creative process. Enjoy the intro, whichever it happens to be. Hopefully by this episode I've gotten the new Table Rush intro together. But if not, I will be talking about, after the coming intro, my creative process and how you can, if we can be aware of our creative process, how that can help us so much.
You know when someone is selling from stage and at the end the audience gets up and rushes to the back of the room to buy? That's a Table Rush. My name is Mischa Z, and the Table Rush Talk Show is all about bringing you the tools, strategies, and tactics that you can use to grow your audience and inspire them to buy.
I'm back. Hope you enjoyed the new intro, Table Rush intro, if it was indeed there. The creative process is interesting it's being aware of my creative process is interesting and very helpful. And what's helpful about it is I see the pain loop piece of it. I get the inspiration. There's things that I want to do, I want to create. And then it gets very painful to get the next indicated step. Usually I'll get to a point where there's a next indicated step that's incredibly painful, and I fight it and kick and scream at it, and gosh, that could take months, years perhaps, or weeks, or perhaps a day. But usually the bigger bit of the what I perceive as the riskiest creative point, where I perhaps need to put myself out there, or the implications of getting that next indicated step feels so great to me that it's a Herculean effort to get through it, and I'll kick and scream and do everything else under the sun than the next indicated step. And psychic pain, finally I kick and scream, go deep into prayer and meditation, turn to God, source, whatever. I give all this to you. What am I supposed to do? How am I going to get through this? I'm screwed. And usually it's like, why don't you just do that next indicated step that's sitting right in front of you? And then freedom awaits. And I have two big examples of it. One fairly recently, the summit, and the feedback, people kept telling me, oh, it sounds like this is your creative process. Oh, this looks like your creative process. And since I just went through this bit of my creative process with the Table Rush and the questionnaire, listen to the last episode, or a couple episodes ago. Anyway, the questionnaire and how I was fighting next steps and all the turmoil it created in my life. Like, should I stick with renaming the podcast? What should I do? Who's my avatar? No. Just, I'm comparing myself to everybody, and I start to get frustrated, and resentments start to creep in, and holy mackerel. I'm human. I hope you are too. Please, Jesus, I hope you're human too. Anyhow, the summit. Brutal, man. I turned what, in the best case scenario, is a 3-month process. It seems like a lot of people do it in 6 months. For me, it turned into 9 months or something like that. But there was so much psychic pain of getting to incremental next steps, and so much messy action that needed to be taken. So it was committing to a headline, committing to a summit name, finally reaching out to the speakers, the getting to the point of reaching out to the speakers was so painful, like psychically painful. Like I wanted to quit multiple times. It's actually, I was recently wanting to quit the 2CCX as I was trying to get the questionnaire together and figure out my offer and all that. Because I know what I need to do for the offer. I just need to do it. But it's the next indicated steps to get there. Where I'm like, I'd rather just not do it. But the summit, man, if you go back, there's 6 months where almost every day of episodes where I was just beating my head against the same wall. And at the time, in hindsight, it was, in the moment as it was happening, it just felt like I was slogging through mud. Like, all right, next little step is done. But then the next step, I'd be like, I want to quit. And when I finally made the choice, got through, anyway, a lot of psychic pain, a lot of wanting to quit, a lot of upheaval. And the feedback I kept getting as I was talking to mentors and things, my one mentor, John, who I talk to every week, he's a powerful spiritual advisor in my life. He just kept saying, it sounds like it's your spirit. It sounds like it's your creative process. It sounds like it's your creative process. And I'm like, damn, you mean I gotta go through the psychic pain each time I gotta be creative on a big creative project? The answer is yes. So this episode's a little all over the place, as a lot of them, but I hope I'm making sense, and bear with me. I as I had clarity on, as I got to the willingness to make the questionnaire, which implied next steps of putting together the offer and getting the questionnaire out to people. Again, this is about how I can help you create a video sales letter and or webinar and or interview based what I call the winfomercial. So I have this process. We go through the process, then we spin up a winfomercial where in effect I interview you and your natural amazingness comes out. You can point traffic to that product and start bringing in some leads and some sales, like an evergreen ad. And then we can do retakes as there's round one. Let's get it done, get it published, and then refine it. I'll give the opportunity to do a couple of refinements to it, retakes, and also you get the asset at the end to slice and dice however you want and have really cool content. And depending on how I see your what best serves you, either we edit me out or perhaps we want me in there as a foil to you. So we'll look and see what the best way to have that is. Anyway, back to it. So this is the ultimate goal of what I'm up to. Need to have an offer around that. Need to start finding customers for proof of concept, which I am doing. But it's a creative process, super painful. The creative process. Where was I going with this? So I encourage you so I was like, I don't actually need to quit. That's just my emotional state as I'm in my creative process. I start throwing a fit. Mischa throwing a fit, unfortunately, for good or bad, is part of of my creative process. I start stamping my feet at the universe. Wah, I don't want to do this. No, I'm going to quit. Make it easy for me. Anyhow, So yes, it's getting shorter though, so that was a really cool thing. The summit took me an extra 4 or 5 months due to my fit throwing, my bouts of massive insecurity, etc., etc. This part of the process of the pain loop much shorter. I'm sure there's more creative pain coming. I have one final example and I'll let you go. Way back in the day when I first got clean and sober, there's programs out there and there's steps and all sorts of things, and if you apply the tools for sobriety, you can get tremendous relief and freedom. But how, and I would consider that part of a creative process. I would liken it to the creative process. And that how I kicked and screamed at some of the required steps of the framework. And when the psychic pain got bad enough, by the grace of God, I capitulated, which means I threw in the towel, I surrendered, and was like, all right, I'll do that required bit. And, that can be a couple-year process. Oh, goodness. Hope that makes sense. How's your creative process? Shine a light of awareness on it, and then perhaps you won't quit before the miracle happens. I'm done. Peace out. Cheerio.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Table Rush Talk Show. For resources to help you sell your stuff, go to belove.media/resources. That's belove.media/resources. And be sure to subscribe, comment, 5-star, and share. Thank you again for listening.